Black Superman. Have you heard about that? That's racist.
Kind of. I mean, I was actually, anyways.
Yeah, we'll get into it. We're live, bro. We're live.
Oh, shit. Fuck. Welcome, everyone, to the 10K Rum Podcast. My name is Amos Joseph. I am, of course, as always, joined by my co-host, Brook Potter. How's it going, Brook?
Welcome back to the show, Amos. It's good to be back. I'm just putting this audio on pause here. I'm doing all right. Big shout out to the National Wales rugby team that completely trounced, downright obliterated the English team. Not that I'm really into rugby, but it was quite a spectacle. It was, some savagery going on. And there's a little bit of a political spin on this because unlike the English team that all took a knee, to support Black Lives Matter in light of the George Floyd controversy, which makes no sense because England doesn't even have armed police out here. The Welsh team did not bow, which is pretty cool. No politics in Welsh sports. So that's a little something that's kind of perked up my day, as well as I was on Chat and Spin Radio yesterday for 10 minutes. Well, I was up to 10 minutes. I think I only went about 5 or 6 promoting the podcast. I was so excited about it. I actually did not tell anybody what the podcast was about. But, hopefully people will kind of get the message of the story I was telling about you and me and how this whole thing started. So if we have any listeners who've joined us from the Chat and Spin Radio, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And we look forward to having your support. How are you doing, Amos? How are you doing? I see we're both sporting Robert Frank 615 gear. He would be very proud, Cheers to him. Cheers to him.
We are, wow. I got to match this energy level here. You're always just like dialing it up. No,
bring it, bitch.
Things are going pretty well over here. It is quite sunny out. We're finally back into normal temperatures. Normal as in above freezing.
Awesome.
above freezing and sunny.
Sweet.
We got a couple of dumps of snow over the last few days, but that just melted right away. And we are supposed to be above freezing for the rest of the week. So
good. So is like fourth winter finally done in Minnesota? Is that what you're telling me?
Wait till fifth winter.
Yeah. So
March we always
summer.
The thing is March we're due in March usually for like another snowstorm. Like one last hurrah before that. But then historically, if I remember correctly, I think it was if you remember, so when I went down to, I forgot what year it was, probably was 2013. Yeah, 2013. 2013 or 14. May, in the month of May, the first week of May, we had snow.
In Minnesota?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Like a foot of snow. Not just like a little dusting, like straight up dump of snow. Now, it was like the first week of May, and it had all melted away within a week.
Wow.
It was like winter was like, screw you guys, I'm gonna dump a little more snow, and then summer was like, yeah, we're done.
It's kind of like that ninja piss, you do like a proper piss and then there's like a little bit left at the end and it kind of spurts out later on unexpectedly, sometimes soils your pants. So is that what we're doing with ninja snow?
Speaking of,
wash
your balls.
Wash your balls, guys. Come on.
If you guys have been joining us for the first time, of course, we do ask that you subscribe to the channel, subscribe to us on YouTube. We are streaming, of course, through the 10K Rum Podcast channel, but also the Brook Potter channel, since Facebook, for some reason, decided not to allow us to stream this week. So subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, leave a like, check out our links below. But if you want to support us in different ways, we have the Tactical Soap Company, where you can use the coupon code 10K Rum to get 10% off on all your purchases, or check out the Subscribe Star for a monthly pledge for as little as $1 a month to support the show. And you go to subscribestar.com/shitload-preachers to check that out. But yeah, keep your balls clean.
Always a good thing. Always
shake when you're done.
Yeah. Ninja piss, guys. Ninja piss.
So, man, now we're thinking about ninja piss. So, again, another week of kind of a lot happening, kind of not a lot happening as
Sure.
usual. Do we want to get into like the funny stuff or the saucy stuff?
That's a good question. But we could probably get into the saucy stuff and kind of keep the funny stuff for later, I guess. You know,
Yeah, kind of,
end on a light
and on
note.
a funnier note. Yeah.
Yeah. So the
you
big
wanna
news:
yes,
war is back on the menu, boys.
yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
You could say they are being serious.
That's terrible, Amos. Don't ever do that again.
Because they are serious about Syria.
Exactly.
As always, you know, another administration that says we're not going to do it. We're going to do this. We're going to do that, and then they bomb Syria.
Yeah. I mean, it's blatant hypocrisy, right? That is when Trump was planning a Syria strike. The tweets came out from Sasky and all of like the Biden administration people saying, "Oh, this is terrible. Syria is like a sovereign country. You can't just do that." Biden himself said, "You know, you can't do this kind of thing without an act of Congress." But when they do it, crickets.
You got to think about a lot of this. Like, we've really come to see more of this, like sort of continuing the conflict in the Middle East. What, since Clinton?
Oh, but since Bush, since the invasion of Iraq. So you got Bush Senior and then followed up by Bush Jr. after 9/11. And I think y'all have basically been in conflicts ever since.
And it's funny, especially with Twitter. And I'll just because we did mention Trump. It's funny how like Trump criticized Obama for the Middle East. Then Trump became president, and was still doing some stuff in the Middle East. Now, granted, a little bit different, bombing,
correct?
But there's that, and then now turning it back around, and then of course now Biden, who was under Obama, who's being criticized, who was criticizing Trump, comes around. It's like, hey, so if we get a Republican next time.
I mean,
bomb the same thing.
The hypocrisy of the media as well, because they're not asking the tough questions. They're for one thing, the Middle East situation is very complicated when it comes to Syria, right? Assad has basically asked the Russians to come in and assist with the basically Iranian intervention that's taking place in the Middle East. So Iran is trying to exert political power in the region. They're basically competing with the Saudis. The Americans back the Saudis. So the Americans have kind of inserted themselves into this conflict without any invitation. Like nobody wants you guys there, right? But because
you're like the really, really cool guy that invited himself to the party.
Yeah, like y'all just showed up to the party, like, yeah, fuck it, I'm here, right? And there's actually been a complaint from the Russian ambassador because when the strike came in, they basically gave him like 4 or 5 minutes to basically say, yeah, we're launching this strike against these pro-Iranian forces. And I'm not saying no, because I mean, there has been a lot of attacks against US troops and other things like that. But this is the whole thing. You're not even supposed to be there. That's kind of the starting point of the argument before you start doing retaliation. So it's very dicey. There is this strike. Last recount, I think I have the note here. 17 pro-Iranian fighters have died. Y'all haven't been invited. So it's kind of, what the hell are you doing? Like, you don't even need to do this, really. And not to mention that the CEO of Raytheon, one of your weapons companies, I think they just got a huge posting in the Pentagon or one of these Biden positions. So every one of those missiles and drones that goes off is just, ka-ching, ka-ching on their 10K reports for their stock and shareholders,
It's like, hey, let's make this Raytheon guy one of the guys in the administration. I wonder why. Money for the boys, And I think it's a woman. I might be wrong, but I actually think it's a woman in the position. So make of that. I mean, somebody fact check me on that, but yeah, there we go. Equality, guys. Equality bombings, It's not true equality until everyone can do it, until everyone can exert unchecked power in continuing wars.
Yeah, with no
Um,
congressional oversight.
Not only are we going to break the glass ceiling, we're going to bomb it too.
Ironically, your vice president, Kamala Harris, was not informed of this position. She was actually kept out. And Don Jr., which is Donald Trump's son, kind of, snarkedly responded with, well, did anybody tell Biden? Spicy. Yeah. I don't know if that's comedy or tragic.
Serious stuff.
Serious, guys. Serious.
Very serious. It's funny. Yeah. I actually completely I knew all this was going on, and I was actually playing a game. So quick little side note. I was doing some geography trivia with some friends. It was really I know it's really nerdy stuff.
That's basically
there was this speaking of which, we'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later.
No, I went on there's this website. You could probably try it in your free time. It's called Sporkle.
Okay.
So it's a website with just quizzes, and it's a lot of trivia stuff. And it's basically, it'll have a quiz for you, and it'll be 10 minutes, 5 minutes or whatever to name these things. So we did, I did a group of 3 guys, just 2 other guys and myself. And we did all 46 presidents.
Nice. In order?
Name all of them. No. So you have a list, and it shows you years, and it has highlights like resigned, dead in office, or stuff like that. Right. Or assassinated in office.
Right. Okay, fair enough.
We have 10 minutes to name all 46 presidents, and we got them all in 5 minutes.
Good.
Because if you really think about it, no, there's some presidents that you've never heard of.
Oh, I know. I watched a whole documentary on all the presidents many years ago. It's like a 5-part series that went into 20 minutes on each. I didn't know half of them.
Yeah, and you're sitting there okay, I know this guy, and I think the last one we figured out was Fillmore.
I have no idea who Fillmore.
Exactly, that was the president. Polk.
Well, yes,
Buchanan.
I knew Polk. I knew Buchanan. I know Taft. He was the replacement after Roosevelt.
Garfield.
I didn't know Garfield. That's not one that stuck out. Ulysses Grant. I couldn't name.
What's nice about the quiz is if you're getting most of the name, it'll just count it because I think it knows you're trying to get that name.
Okay, fair enough.
And we did another one, 197 nations of the world in 10 minutes.
Ooh.
We did all of them except one. Grenada.
Oh, yeah, the good old Grenada, yeah.
We went across Australia, Pacific, Asia, Africa. Some of these got really tricky.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The island, the Caribbean islands are really tricky too.
There are a lot of little small ones. Some of them you don't get, St. Kitts and Nevis and others, yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah.
So and I did one on Asia, and technically the Middle East is part of Asia. And I did every nation around Syria except Syria. I'm sitting there clock's ticking, and I'm and the guys I was streaming this, so the guys are like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like,
there you go.
So,
yeah, it's north of Israel, just in case anybody.
Yeah. Lebanon, Jordan, Israel. The game recognizes Palestine, which is a bit tricky.
Oh, cool. Yeah, fair enough. Did you get Swaziland?
So it's called. It has a different name.
Yeah, because Swaziland is the actual name, but they're not recognized by any global
Swati
country
or something. There's a different name for it. Swaziland has an actual the game gives you a different name. Because one of the guys we're playing with, he's a geography major.
Right.
So because I knew people from Swaziland.
Yeah, but it's not recognized
as Eswatini. There we go.
Right, yeah. So it's called Swaziland, but no country recognizes it as Swaziland. So it's kind of like an unnamed, it has an old name territory that they're kind of like a Liberland, the Libertarian Project, like the National Project.
Well, that doesn't have much recognition internationally.
It has no recognition, but it exists, right? I mean, in theory, it exists, right? So Swaziland was actually kind of the format that Lieberland used, because again, it's a country, but nobody recognizes it. So it's interesting they recognize Palestine, although technically it's a territory. It's never been formally recognized as yet.
Yeah, but then it had like South Sudan, because I know South Sudan formed in 2012.
I know it's recent. I don't know the exact date, but yeah, it's one of the most recent countries.
It was when I was in Dallas. I was hanging out with some people, and they were like, "Yeah, did you hear about South Sudan? Yeah, it just formed." And I was like,
"Yeah,
what?
A brand new country?" Yeah. I mean, we in a couple of years, we might probably see Catalonia, which is a break off from Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly Scotland and Wales might go independent. I'm not holding my breath on it, but it's a possibility. They might break away from the UK. And of course, the Republic of Texas.
I saw today something Alan West, leader of the GOP in Texas, put out a tweet. Happy Independence Day, Texas.
Sweet.
I was like,
Sweet. The movement is definitely gaining momentum. I have to say, I've been hearing about this more and more.
Which takes us to, this is actually something I remember from the speech we're going to talk about, CPAC.
Yes.
So first speech since Trump was out of office, I believe.
Oh, you gotta give the man an intro. You know, Trump is back, baby. Come on. All right, now go ahead. Whatever you were saying.
So Trump was on CPAC.
Yes.
And now I listened to maybe an hour of it. I don't know. You said it was. We will both agree.
It was long. Yeah, I listened to the whole thing, but I was eating breakfast at the time and having coffee, and it extended longer than that. So it was quite lengthy. But
I remember he was talking about a lot of different things. Like he talked about the election. He was kind of making some jabs at Biden and his administration. Some interesting things that I was like, how they're kind of attributing the success of the vaccination, like the coming up with the vaccine, to Biden when it came under Trump's presidency, and the pace that Biden was setting. What was it? 100 million in 100 days.
Mm-hmm.
Trump was already doing that and more before Biden took over. It was like 1.6 million doses a day.
Yeah.
So Trump could have just been like, if he really wanted to, 200 million in 200 days or whatever, he could have done that. So there was that. There was trying to remember. He's Trump kind of doing his own like riffing, kind of just going back and forth on different things. There was one I literally just had it before we started.
All right.
The three victories he talked about.
The three victories that he talked about.
So he wants to the possibility.
Oh, right. Yes, the statement that he made where he said, I might just go back and beat them a third time, which is, he's not entirely wrong. Let's just say that for our YouTube.
He's definitely not holding back the fact that he's pushing like, hey, I won in 2020. Now, so is the Republican base. They were all standing and they were like, we understand what happened, right? We know what went on. So.
This
is what I was remembering. The talks, so the rumors that were going around of a split Republican Party.
Yeah, Patriot Party.
He kind of just shut that down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, no, we're united. We're doing this and I mean, strategically for the Republican Party, that is the better choice. Like, it's better to kind of stand as one. Yes, there's going to be division within it. I mean, there's division in the Democratic Party too.
Not like, I mean, there's more in the Democrat Party. Trump has taken over the electorate, not the politicians, but the electorate.
Mm-hmm.
He has gotten more support than any Republican president in the history of the United States.
Yeah.
In fact, he's the only president in the history of the United States who got more votes in his second election than in his first. So there's not much of a division. I mean, there is. There are the Rhinos and the Never Trumpers, the Mittens Romney and Cheney and these other people. But the party's pretty much united. Like, no, it's Trump's go or no one. And at the CPAC straw poll where they did it, he got 97%. I might be off on that, but he got like overwhelming support for like a run in 2024. It was over 90%, definitely. So not much of a division for Trump supporters, not for the Republican Party, because they're not necessarily the same thing.
Yeah. So that's all that I remember.
I mean, he was pretty candid about a lot of the things that went on. Well, as I say, he touched on the election stuff. He actually outlined some points that in order to have free and fair elections, you need to do these things. And that included things like voter ID. One election day, you can't have like a month of elections and just producing ballots out of nowhere indefinitely until, you get the winner you want. As well as no mail-in voting unless you're in the military, absolutely convalescent. You can't leave your home or like extenuating circumstances. And it has to be verified by signature. Reasonable as far as I can tell. In fact, I think in Georgia right now, they're passing a law for signature verification on mail-in ballots. Mm-hmm. And, a couple of leftists have showed up and stormed the state house. And, basically, if we were to follow the pattern of January 6th, it's another insurrection by the leftists who are like invading the state capitol. Of course, the media will never say it like that. This is, of course, a peaceful protest when the left does it.
Mostly peaceful.
Mostly. Thank you. I sit corrected. Mostly peaceful. But yeah, so he was very open about that. He was also very bold about the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court's lack of courage and, like cojones to stand up for what was basically unconstitutional rule changes on the election. And I thought, the Supreme Court in the US is something that you keep apolitical. People don't really go after them. But he's right. He's absolutely right. And I think even up to recently, one of his Sidney Powell's lawsuit in Wisconsin and Arizona, again showing how the laws have been changed illegally. That recently got thrown out. They're not going to hear it at all.
Oh, so her?
No, she was suing on behalf of these states. The same problem I had.
Because I know Dominion is suing her.
Yeah, that's a different lawsuit. But the ones that ended up at the Supreme Court with the election, they threw that out. So she had one for Arizona and Wisconsin. Same thing. They changed the laws at the last minute without going through the legislature, violates the Constitution, yada yada yada, and the Supreme Court folded. They're not gonna hear it. So the fraud will stand, right? That's basically, you guys have to fight like hell to get the integrity of your elections back. And Trump kind of laid that out as well. And he was also very bold about calling out the rhinos that voted for his impeachment. So I think there were 6 or 7 Republicans that voted for him, Mittens Romney and these people. And he called them out and he's like, no, each and every one of them is going to be primaried and I'm going to be here.
Romney?
What was that? Well, I mean, his name is Mitt Romney, but everybody calls him Mittens Romney because he's like soft touch. He's got no spine, right? He's kind of flexible, I suppose is the way to put it. But the things he did call out about Biden, I thought was very interesting. Biden's, I don't know if it's quite 100 days. Is it 100 days yet? I don't think so.
No.
Not yet. That'd be 3 months. So we're only 2 months and a half in. So within the first 100 days, not even that. Oh, right, because it's the 20th of January. Right. Okay. Yeah. I was thinking January 6th for some reason. But yeah, he's absolutely right. Biden has decimated women's sports with, and that's part of this Equality Act where you can no longer discriminate, between biological women versus trans women in the area of sports. He's decimated the energy sector and, completely kind of done away with the XL pipeline. And apparently the gas prices are going up as a result of this. Of course, Saudi is very happy. Russia is very happy. All of this kind of stuff. The only people who are going to pay that price are the Americans. And in light of all of that, tensions in the Middle East, as we said, We open with the story of what's going on in Syria.
They're having a blast in the Middle East.
It's gonna get hot and spicy, man. It's gonna get hot and spicy. And the last thing you touched on, which was actually quite true, is the immigration policies that are coming out right now, where they do not want to enforce and police the border. They didn't even want to complete the border wall. Apparently, it's like mostly done, and there's all the material is there.
More overflow centers.
Right, and which they're now calling overflow centers. Rather, when Trump had it, it was kids in cages. Right. Never mind, Obama built them, but no. Now they're overflow centers.
Like they're like, okay, so Obama built them. Trump, I guess, technically under his administration, they were maintained.
He continued the policy. Yes.
Right. Then Biden comes in. I want to take a humane approach. Opens more of them.
Yeah, it's like he does, and it's shipping containers. It's like how more grotesque could you get?
Someone was saying, you know why the liberals are really mad about this, because a lot of liberals are coming out and like realizing, oh shit, this is the guy we voted for. Like they're coming out and they're mad about this.
They've been scammed,
and they were like, you know what? You know why people really hate it? Because those shipping containers are better than some trailer homes. I was like, real spicy.
Indeed.
So,
Indeed.
yeah, it's they're overflowing. There's and it's just kids. Because what they're saying, I guess, is they detain the kids.
Yes.
For a certain amount of time, then they send them home, or they decide to like let them through.
Correct. So what it is because if a child shows up at the border with somebody, they don't know if that's the biological kid of the person or if it's a coyote. And for the liberals who don't know what that is, it's basically a people smuggler, fucking idiots. If a people smuggler / coyote shows up with a kid, it could be trafficking the kid. So the policy under Obama was to separate the kids from the parents until they can verify the identity.
This is the whole thing with
Common
that separation thing. Yeah, because I think this is a really good point. Someone said, so if a cop pulls over a drunk driver and there's a kid in the back seat,
yes, you
separate them.
Correct.
Even if it's the parent.
Agreed.
Yeah, hypothetically, if even let's say it was like a 16-year-old kid who had a driver's license and could prove this is my parent, we got to arrest you separately. Like we got to, we're gonna have to take care of you, but your parent is coming with us. Like now, and that's separate from the whole, thoughts on immigration in general. It's just you cross the border illegally, you're breaking the law.
Correct.
Under the
current law, not anymore.
Under the law that currently stands, but people like this is because this is a big thing with libertarians. They kind of say like, hey, we could talk about immigration policy and all that later, but as the law stands, this is how that is. Like,
yes. In order to claim asylum, you have to come to a registered port of entry, an airport, a dock. You do not cross the border illegally and then claim asylum. That is a violation. That's a law. You can't claim, and you can't also claim asylum if you pass through a peaceful country. As far as I know, there's no civil war going on in Mexico, right? Just like out here in the UK, we have people.
I mean, I guess there could be a case with like cartels and stuff. Like if you were being
that's crime, right? That's not the same thing as a civil war, right? It's the same thing that we have out here, like the Syrian refugee crisis. You have to pass through Turkey, like a whole bunch of countries to get to places like Germany and France. Got to pass through Austria, Poland, Hungary.
But somehow they're showing up through other countries that.
And how do they get to the UK? Right? We have migrants coming to the UK claiming asylum in the UK. You've passed through all of Europe, there's no war in Europe. You are no longer a asylum seeker. You are an economic migrant. Asylum seekers claim asylum at the first peaceful country that you encounter. This is what's going on. This was basically Trump's strategy. And he talked about it as a deal. You'll give money to Mexico and to Guatemala and South America and a lot of these countries. And basically y'all are giving that money to them as, foreign aid. Trump said, well, listen, either you stop the caravans and you take these people back, or we stop giving you the money. And the minute he did that, well, guess what? All the migrants are now being taken back.
Yeah.
Then Biden comes along and be like, no, fuck it, we'll give them the money anyway. So he, completely gives up the leverage.
Why does it sound like almost international trafficking?
It is.
We give you money, you send us migrants.
No, we give you money to keep the migrants we send back. So we're going to deport these people.
Okay.
Right,
I thought it was to send them over. I was like, geez.
No, they send the aid to Mexico. Then when the Mexican crosses the border, they deport the Mexican before Mexico taking advantage of the Americans and be like, no, we're not taking them. But you're always still giving them the money. So when Fidel Castro, for instance, back in the 80s, heard of Ronald Reagan doing, I think it's called the wet foot or the dry foot policy, any Cuban that stepped foot on American soil was given amnesty and citizenship. Guess what Castro did? He opened the jails. He opened the mental asylum. Basically every political dissident, and he put them on boats and sent them to Florida. Right? So that is kind of what's going on. And if you try to deport them, Castro's not going to take them back. So you're stuck with them, right? This is the argument. But with these other countries, you had leverage because you all had economic aid to give them. You all held the money back. And that was how Trump managed to do it. Biden doesn't give a shit about the deal. He's just like giving them money and not deporting anybody. So that's a lose-lose for you guys.
Yay.
Yeah, speaking of government fuck-ups, do you know the anniversary of February 28th, what that signifies?
Taco. No, sorry,
yes.
Waco.
Close enough. That's right. It is the anniversary. I believe it is the beginning of the 51-day siege at Waco.
So let me, I'm going to pull this up quick.
You're going to pull this up.
Oh, this is so fun. This is too good. This is too good. So anyone who knows, so the ATF, the ATF has a Facebook page
and a Twitter account.
And they were, a big part of, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives as well.
Yes.
Yes. Remembering Waco.
Remember, Are they doing the post about the agents that died at Waco? Is that what they're putting up? They do it almost every year.
So, February 28th, 1993. Yeah. Okay, let's see here.
I believe that was the beginning of the siege that lasted, 51 days or something like that.
Yeah. And then it ended in basically burning the whole place down.
Yeah.
So if anyone remembers, just the ATF wants you to remember all those agents that died.
Can you read it out? Because that's very small on my screen. So just read the blurb that they put for their thing.
Oh yeah. Remembering Waco, February 28th, 1993. We remember the fallen agents, special agents, and so on, who made the ultimate sacrifice while trying to execute a search warrant. Like, they unironically posted this.
Yeah. And they posted every year.
All these people are like, what the heck is going on? Like, what? Now this isn't organized to show like popular ones, but I know the let's see here. Basically the Libertarian Party of the US, so the Libertarian Party basically wrote at them, your entire department needs to be abolished. And
I mean, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives should be a store, not a government agency, if I'm being honest.
I mean, you know what the ATF's favorite pastime is?
No, what is the pastime?
Shooting dogs.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's kind of the running joke with the ATF is like don't have a dog if the ATF is visiting you because they'll shoot it.
I think I heard this. Yes, yeah, that they shot the dog of somebody.
Like there's straight up videos you'll find of like the ATF showing up to like check up on someone, and they have a dog, and they'll straight up they'll open up the door and like hi, and the dog kind of looks out and they'll shoot the dog.
Yeah, I think I've
or if they break in, then they'll shoot the dog in the house.
Yeah. I've seen videos of that. I mean, I don't know if you were around when Waco was taking place. If you want to expound a little bit on that story for some people who may not be familiar with it.
Okay, was that the Branch Davidians?
Yeah, it's the Branch Davidians and David Koresh had like a cult out
Basically,
there.
it was a cult. Do they have weapons?
They did. They had some weapons, and from what I understand, that's kind of what they wanted to bust him on because they figured there was some unregistered weapons that he had. But the problem was that David Koresh would apparently he'd go running in the town like every day. So like if they really just wanted to get him, they could have captured him,
Yeah,
when
but
he
they
was out
wanted to
running.
his compound. There was like a 50-some day siege where they were like basically surrounding the place.
Yeah.
And some agents got hurt and everything, but like, and like I said, some agents died, but really,
Yeah.
it was 50-some people that just died needlessly.
75.
75. Oh, okay.
People.
Yeah. Old, sorry, not old people. Just people who had unregistered firearms.
Mm-hmm.
And they, instead of like going in there to take them out or take them out of there, like physically remove them, not kill them, the whole place burned down and everyone in there died.
Yeah. Well, I think the way it went down was the ATF basically screwed up. They wanted a win. They called the television station to come and record the incident. Television crew got lost, asked for directions from a Branch Davidian who went and alerted them that this is what's going on. And they basically, had a standoff, right? So I think the 28th is when it started. It went on for 51 days. Included in that was the ATF like playing the sounds of, tortured rabbits and like sonic warfare and just like ridiculously torturous sorts of events. And then, of course, it was Janet Yellen, who was the attorney general at the time. They basically came to her and said, well, he's raping kids. He's this, he didn't give them any food. They were starving. I mean, he wasn't a great guy. I think like he married a 14-year-old, but apparently that was legal back then. Not that we're condoning that.
Right.
But they basically said, he's doing all these terrible things to the kids and whatever. And they basically put something called CS gas into the building. And that there is a tank that kind of runs up to the building and they're throwing this CS gas in, which is flammable. And the tank that went up actually blocked the door. So they couldn't get out. So the women and children, I think there was a buried bus or something that was in there. They all kind of ran into there and some agents tossed some tear gas into that where they basically suffocated to death. So 75 people, 25 kids. And then in the midst of it, the gas caught and the entire building burned to the ground with everybody.
And this is one of those like very clear examples historically, in recent history, really, where the government blatantly. Not even like not like some, we funded the Taliban to fight the Russians, now they hate us. That kind of knowledge. This was like everyone knows what you did.
Yeah. It was televised.
And it's on Netflix.
Yeah, there's a docuseries. I haven't seen it, but yeah, there's a docuseries.
I think it's I think they did a reenactment.
Probably, yeah. I mean, it's good history. You guys, you wonder why you don't trust the government? Remember Waco.
Seriously, when I was in Texas, everyone was Waco. Everyone just thought just like, oh yeah, anytime the government was running up, oh, like Waco, Waco. And I learned about it and I was like, oh shit. Waco.
Yeah, it's really messed up. I mean, I don't have all the details. I might have a couple of those points wrong, but I mean, I have the notes on the 75 people that died here. And I remember watching it as as a young kid, had like headline news, CNN headline news back in Trinidad.
I was not even a year old then.
Yeah. So I must have been, 12 or 13 around that time. And I remember, hearing about it, and I remember seeing the pictures after the whole thing just going up in flames. And I didn't understand it, of course, until many years later. But if you want to know why you don't trust the government, remember Waco.
So, yeah, our friend Spike Cohen tweeted out at them and listed all the people that died at Waco.
Good.
So, like, because they were like, oh, Special Agent so-and-so. And it's like, yeah. And the other people.
You can't even mention the kids, And apparently, like, a couple of weeks after the whole thing, they just bulldozed the entire site. They don't want to discuss it. No investigation. No, they just got rid of everything. How crazy is that?
But hey, guys, trust government.
Yeah, the government is. I'm from the government. I'm here to help.
So, this stream's getting taken down.
Yeah, they're taking us down for sure.
You know what it was? It's probably because we mentioned Rush Limbaugh last week. That's why they didn't like us.
It's possible. It's possible. That's too conservative for Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg gonna Zuck, right? It's like.
Oh, actually, okay. This I could actually talk about.
Yeah.
So I think I know why we're not streaming on Facebook.
Okay. Do enlighten me.
So, Thanksgiving of this last year. I remember that Jeffrey Dahmer meme I posted.
I think so. I can't remember exactly.
The government can't tell me how many people I can have for Thanksgiving.
Have for Thanksgiving. Okay, yes, I remember it now.
That got deleted by Zuck.
Really? Zuckerberg took down that meme from last year,
saying it was like advocating for violence or something.
Well, cannibalism, but
yeah,
okay.
yeah. or murder. So, right. So I appealed it.
Yeah.
I said I disagree with the decision. They said, well, okay, our decision still stands. And then I took it to the oversight committee.
Right.
Which is this whole separate website.
Yeah.
They have this entire committee that is comprised of like people from all these major institutions.
Yeah.
You can take a reference number, send it in. You have to type like a whole thing about why you need to keep this post up.
Yeah.
And I like made this case like it's a meme. It's funny. It does not tell anyone to do this. Like Jeffrey Dahmer was a horrible person. He ate people.
Yes.
It's funny because everyone is worried about COVID and can't go anywhere.
It's irony.
It's irony. It's funny. I'm not telling people to go eat people.
Jeez. What happened?
Oh, I haven't heard back yet. I mean, I sent it in. It is what it is. Like
now we're on their radar, you know.
Well, this is what I found out that if one person part of the admins on the Facebook page, if either one got a Zuck for any reason,
right,
it like puts restrictions on everything else.
Right. I mean, you shared that on the page, didn't you?
I shared it on my page.
On your personal page?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it connects.
Right, okay. Huh. That's
dumb.
I mean, if Facebook really wants to go bankrupt as far as that, they're doing what it would take to basically destroy the company. There's no justification of this humorless, dry, woke, progressive garbage that they're trying to push out. That makes absolutely, especially since Facebook is basically boomer book. It's my generation still uses Facebook. Granny uses Facebook, and it's going to be stupid shit like that, right? It's making old time humor, not this modern progressive, don't offend anybody and wrap the world in bubble wrap thing. So if they're going to have those standards, they're going to destroy the platform. There's really no saving grace. So join us on something else. We got to jump on Gab.
Yeah. So, yeah. There's that.
I mean, do you want to get into the corporate woke stuff that we've been encountering for the last few days?
So we definitely want to touch on, I mean, quickly we could touch on Coke.
Right. Coke wants us all to be, do you have a Coca-Cola there?
No, I don't.
I've actually switched from rum and Coke to rum and Pepsi because just,
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not as good to be honest, but
so Coca-Cola, so for proper context. So
proper context.
A training video from the Coca-Cola Corporation, like one of their employee training sensitivity something video came out. And it was produced by Robin DiAngelo.
That's it.
Robin DiAngelo.
I was just looking for her name.
Robin DiAngelo, author of the
White Fragility.
Right Fragility. Basically like the textbook on, so a lot of this woke white privilege, white this, white that, white people bad, all white people are racist, this whole thing.
Yes.
And the video was Be Less White.
Yes. Have you read White Fragility?
No.
Good. Neither have I. And I don't plan to.
You were gonna say, like, we got to read it now?
No. But I did a lot of kind of research into it. And apparently Miss DiAngelo admits openly that she's a racist. She admits blatantly that she has an uneasy feeling around people of color. And because she's a racist, she thinks she has the right to tell people that they're racist. So when you're reading White Fragility, you are literally reading white supremacy information.
I saw an interesting TikTok. There was a guy that was so you remember how like this ties into the woke stuff.
Yes.
Remember how like they were going on like on Jemima, Uncle Ben's, like all these Land of Lakes butter,
Washington Redskins.
Well, not so much Washington Redskins.
They've been going after the Redskins for years, but
that's a separate one. Someone actually said instead of changing the name from Washington Redskins, why not change the mascot to a potato?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, why not?
Literally just Redskins. Anyways, so when it comes to like food products,
yes,
Uncle Ben's, Aunt Jemima, like a lot of these things, I don't know a lot of them. They said, so with all the woke stuff about how it's like improperly, portraying people of color and all this, and we should remove all this. Here's what's really going on. You're removing Black people's representation on products.
Yes.
Because what about Quaker Oats?
Yes.
What about KFC?
Yes.
What about what was it? Little Debbie's.
Brand. Little Debbie's, okay, yeah, that's a good one.
Freaking Wendy's.
That's a good point.
McDonald's, Burger King, like all these
mascots.
All these mascots are white people.
Well, we don't know what the clown is. We don't know if McDonald's is a clown, so
I mean, it's implied. It's implied to a degree.
Yes,
but it's like you have all these brands, food, restaurants, corporations that all have white people.
Yes.
Now, should there be some like if you want to be truly like equal in this, there shouldn't be any human mascots whatsoever then.
Right.
But this video was basically pointing out, what if the bigger picture is you just don't want to see Black people on food?
Well, that would fit with D'Angelo because it is a white supremacist book. It is basically saying that white people are superior to people of color and we need to remove them from society. Right? That's literally what the book is saying, right? It is literally equivalent to Klan Manifesto. Why this material is being taught in corporate America is beyond the pale. It is absolute insanity.
Try saying "be less white" to the Coca-Cola polar bears.
I mean, that's been the meme, and I absolutely love that. And they listen to what they equate whiteness to, right? Rational thought, being on time, hard work, reasoning. So what they're basically saying is that people of color can't do these things. Right?
Yeah.
That's
soft bigotry of low expectations.
The soft bigotry of low expectations. So what does that mean? That means, you somehow you have to remove, these icons from society. How does that work? How does that make any sense whatsoever? No, it's white supremacy because exactly what you said. What is the result? Quaker Oats gets a pass, but Aunt Jemima, she's kicked out. That's white supremacy. So these people are literally getting their marching orders from an admitted racist, and who is a white supremacist, right? So anybody comes with this SJW stuff and secondly, you're a white supremacist. Insane.
But hey, guys,
what's that?
We're woke now.
Yeah,
we're better now.
But I mean,
we've got a woman vice president. Everything's better now.
A woman of color. She's Black now, even though she's of East Indian descent and she's mixed, but she's Black now and listens to Tupac. Even though the album didn't come out when she was in college. But yeah, she's up there.
Hey, I'm gonna be the first Asian president, Brook.
Yeah. You will half of
only be half.
I mean, if it was just Coca-Cola, I think people would kind of respond. But we've had a slew of these kind of progressive fuck ups in the last couple of days. I was just sharing with you the streaming platform Twitch, which is owned by, Amazon and, the whole progressive wing. That's the Washington Post and these other things. They put out a tweet celebrating March as Women's Month, the month of the Women's. So that's woman with the A with an X instead. So Twitch puts out March is Women's History Month. Join us in celebrating and supporting all the Women's creating their own worlds, building their communities, and leading the way on Twitch. Women's.
It's kind of like Latinx or Latinx.
Correct. Latinxas or the Latins or whatever the fuck.
No, and I've talked to people about this. They're like, yeah, most Latin Americans hate that shit.
They're not doing it. Yeah.
They're like, no, we are Latin Americans, we're Hispanic, we are where we're from. We're Mexican, correct. Honduran, Panama,
Spanish,
whatever.
Languages are gendered.
Yeah. Like El Salvador, like this is they have their individual identities as where they're from. They're proud of that. You don't have to lump them all in and then throw an X on it. Like,
and who gives them the right to do that? I mean, I'm so fed up of this nonsense, right? Like, I have a friend of mine out here. She's like, "Oh, you can't call a black person. They're black. They've got to be person of color." Or out here in the UK, we say.
I posted about this a while ago. Someone actually said, I cannot speak on behalf of black people.
Yeah.
But all my black friends honestly say calling them black people is just so much easier.
That is exactly what I was going to say. I said, have you ever actually asked a black person what they'd want to be called rather than just assuming what they want to be called? So again, it's this whole that is white supremacy. You think that you can define the status quo for these people. Yeah. So the whole Latinx thing and the Womanix thing, which I'll explain in a minute, you're assuming to speak on behalf of a people group that you're not a part of. That is you believing you are superior, that you can speak about their culture. It's white supremacy with all of this shit.
This is because no one is trying to I remember Stephen Crowder did a parody where someone was calling the cops. He goes, "Hi, someone just stole my car. All right, sir, could you describe him?" Yeah, he's 6 foot tall, wearing a hoodie. Okay, any other identifying characteristics? Hair color. He's dark white. Dark white, sir.
Dark white.
Like a tan, but really tan.
Robert Frank. Okay. He's Italian, man.
But it was just this whole people are afraid of just of
saying these things.
It's not meant to be taken as such. It's just identifying characteristics. Like,
correct.
You and I are white. You have a beard.
Yes.
I'm
bald and
I have this weird thing going on in my face.
Yeah. You should get that checked.
But it's he doesn't if someone described me, well, he doesn't look entirely white. Some people straight up look at me. You look Hispanic. Okay.
Yeah, when my beard was darker and I had hair, people used to call me Jewish. Well, I do have Jewish blood in me. So I would get stopped by Jews all the time in the airport. And because I used to travel with a suit and stuff, and they'd come by and shalom, and I'll be like, "Hey, what's going on?" So yeah, I've been mistaken for that. Italian. Everybody swears I'm Russian all of a sudden. And I've been Latin. I've been Venezuelan. My mother's Venezuelan. So it is absolute nonsense. So let me just explain the Women's nonsense that's going on, right? So Women's, according to I don't even know if that's a source, but progressive intersectional feminist, this was a way to describe women, first of all, without using the ending of the word, which is man, so it's woman. They didn't want man there, so they put an X in it. But the greatest social justice warriors kind of used it to describe trans people, trans women. So instead of saying that the person is trans women, they'll just say that they're Women's. And again, this is the hubris of the SJWs and the leftists, assuming that they can talk on behalf of trans women who spend all their life trying to be women And now you're robbing them of the very title and echelon that they strive for by calling them Wimix, right? So it's like, for fuck's sake. So the left is eating the left at this point, right? So it's just a cycle of this nonsense, which I celebrate the nonsense that's going on. Let them burn each other to the ground. It doesn't matter. That's what's going on. And it didn't even stop there. Did you hear about Oreo? Oreo put out a tweet as well saying trans people exist. Oreo cookies.
They said what now?
They said trans people exist.
Well, duh.
So Oreo cookies is jumping on this trans bandwagon, right?
This is a weird thing with woke culture. This whole exist thing.
Yes,
I deserve to exist. Well, it's not about if you deserve. You do.
Who said you don't?
Well, it's not even if you do or don't deserve. It's you do.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
It. This whole proving like I deserve this, I deserve that. Like you were given these things, you have the ability to pursue these things, and I think you should have a right to. But this whole deserve or a right to, and it's like, I guess in a way, yes, you have a right to exist because you do.
Yes.
Like existence is not to get too philosophical.
Are we getting into an existential crisis?
But this is the thing. They're introducing existentialism to a conversation it doesn't even need.
It doesn't require it. Yeah, correct. Absolutely.
You exist. You have rights,
of which nobody disagrees.
Deal with it.
Yeah.
We all deal with it.
Yeah. Correct.
We all exist. Whether or not we deserve to exist is a whole nother.
Or even if we want to exist, some people are like, give me the sweet, epoch of the nether. I'd rather not be here.
Yeah. But it's just that's the thing.
But you're here.
Trans people exist. Yes, they do.
Yeah. Like who said otherwise?
Now, if you say trans, like at least you'd be more accurate to say trans people deserve rights or something. Like if you want to get into something like that, like you could say that, but they exist, guys. Hey,
yeah,
did you know they exist?
I don't know who these people are that somehow
like I'm gonna post today on
don't.
Facebook. Brook Potter exists.
Yeah, it's like not that I needed the help, but sure, who thinks these people don't exist? Like the progressive ideology is such that they really believe that if you're not a progressive woke justice warrior, you literally do not see these people at all. Like they have no meaning, or you're the enemy to them, or whatever the case might be. That's really how they think.
Most people going through life that encounter LGBT people in general are just like, oh, okay. Yeah, just, hey, how's it going? Like, okay, you like guys, you like women, you believe you identify as one or the other. Fine.
Nobody cares. Like seriously, nobody cares.
Well, nobody cares in the way that they want you to care.
Correct. Nobody cares about your sexuality, your sexual orientation, or any of these things. None of that
what
stuff
makes you happy.
matters.
Do what you want.
You do you. You do you.
There's always been trans people. There's always been gay people, and most people don't really like hold that against someone. They just go, "Oh, okay, that's fine."
Yeah. For the most part, I don't deny that there's bigotry, and I don't deny that there are probably people out there who are, anti-trans and bigoted. And sure, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, how are you the oppressed when every major corporation is basically shouting your praises, waving your flags? Sportsmen are bowing to your whims. The crowd basically controls the media and the universities and all of these institutions. You're protected on high by the lords of darkness of big tech and all of these other places, but somehow you're oppressed. For God's sake, man, like you have all of the institutional power and everybody's backing you. Yeah. But no. That's not how it works anymore. Not when they're winning. That's not how it works. But speaking of that, we have to touch on Mr. Potato Head losing his nads, right?
Because potatoes have nads, everyone.
Because that's how it works. I guess Toy Story is now problematic, so.
So Mr. Potato Head, now just Potato Head.
Yes.
Has is now they basically I don't know who created the toy.
Hasbro.
So Hasbro basically came out and said now he's gender neutral. He's just it. Well, I don't know. Z is just
Zim.
This toy is now Potato Head.
Correct.
It is not Mr. and Mrs.
They know they fucked up. Right. So they put out this tweet and they're basically removing the Mr. and the Mrs. because there was a Mr. and a Mrs. They're going to remove the gender pronouns, I suppose. And it's just going to be Potato Head. And in an attempt to be more inclusive, they basically, well, you can make two dads, you can make two moms, you can make, whatever you want kind of thing, or something in between. And
Potato Head?
Yeah, you could get trans potatoes. And they added that after because there was so much backlash at the insanity, one, of pushing this gender politics nonsense onto kids, right? You're going after kids, which I think is the most despicable way to push your politics. And it only happens on the left. The right never pushes their politics on kids. They kind of want to leave kids alone, generally speaking.
I mean, if they specifically marketed it, I mean, if like this is the kind of the two sides we talked about before the show. Like, it's one thing. Like, if you just made a Potato Head with no explanation, I'd be like, okay, you're just allowing for exchanging different parts. Like, you wouldn't have Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. You would just have if you could go to instead of Build-A-Bear, you could have Build a Potato Head,
right?
And it would have all the parts,
right?
But to then come out and be like, no, we're doing this because of this, and it's like, what?
But that's exactly what happened. After they got rid of the pronouns, they backtrack because of the outrage, and they basically, no, we're not really getting rid of Mr. and Mrs. They're still there. We're just taking the names away. You can build whatever you want.
Which you should have started with the beginning.
You should have started with that, exactly.
Because everyone's been I say cross-dressing, but crossing pieces of Legos and such.
Yeah, of course. I had technique and the blocks, and I'd build all sorts of abominations out of both sets.
But I mean, there wasn't much girls Legos to begin with, but there were you could take the little minifigures, the little Lego guy. You had girl ones, and people would just switch pieces, whatever, because there was no gender whatever to that. There were male characters and female characters, but no one really held to anything.
Correct.
But now it's we're taking a stand. What?
Yeah. It's virtue signaling.
Yeah.
Right. They could have done exactly what they said they were going to do. They could have quietly removed the Mr. and the Mrs. and probably nobody would have noticed. If what they were really saying is, the parts are the same, the boxes are the same, we're just taking away the Mr. and the Mrs. They could have done that very quietly. Hush, hush. Nobody will know. It'll be, it's just thief in the night, no problem. No. You virtue signal. You make a big announcement, and then you have to walk it back and explain your announcement.
Trans people exist.
Yeah, you fucked up. But it does, and you see, the reason that's such a heated issue is right now you all are discussing this Equality Act that we were kind of touching on before the show. The Democrats have basically passed it through the Congress, and it's coming into the Senate. And it basically rewrites the 1968 Civil Rights Act to include gender identity as a protected class, which basically means you can no longer distinguish. Well, this is the destruction of women's sports. Right? If somebody identifies as female and they're biological male, this act will protect them. And it gets worse than that.
Oh, right. Because it was always race, religion, sex.
Yes.
Now it's going to be race, religion, sex, gender identity.
Correct. And it goes further than that, which is also the discrimination is now no longer just limited to companies. They actually want to extend it to individuals. So we all know the case of the gay couple that went to a bakery and they refused to put a particular slogan or something on the cake. Mm-hmm. And the person objected on religious grounds, and it's won at the Supreme Court. This legislation will force that person to do that cake. And there is no longer any religious objection or religious exemption.
That would go to the Supreme Court then.
I'm sure it would. I'm sure it would.
And it probably,
but I mean,
probably get completely overdone.
Well, we would have hoped so, but the
Yeah.
Supreme Court hasn't really been living up to much expectations of late.
On an issue like that, I think is more. There's more grounds to kind of pursue that. Like, I'm not that I necessarily agree with their decision on like looking into the election and such.
Yeah.
But I could see where there's a difference between like the outcome of an election versus the outcome of the interpretation of a law. Because they've gone for that all the time. When it comes to elections, you don't get too many Supreme Court cases with elections.
Right. I mean, they've done it
Again,
in the past.
not saying what they did was right or wrong.
Yeah, no.
It's I can get why they would not want to, and I can also get why they totally would go after a wedding cake.
Right. I mean, somebody has to bring that if it passes, somebody has to bring that, through the judiciary and stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't agree with what you said, because of the sentiment of basically breaking the Constitution to pass election law is way worse than this Equality Act, because it basically means the Constitution now of the entire country has
no.
I get that. But yeah, in that, I completely agree. If somebody brings this, if it passes, and then somebody is sued, so this basically means a trans man or a man who identifies as a woman is now allowed to join a Catholic nunnery, and if they refuse him, they can be taken to court.
Wouldn't that a breach of religious freedoms?
This is what I'm saying. The Equality Act now protects gender identity, and it's no longer attached to individuals, but it is to like entities like a gas station or a cafe. They want to extend it to the individual, eradicating religious freedoms. Now, there's a counter argument. The Republicans have their own bill. I think it's called the what is it called? Hold on, give me a second here. I think it's like Equality for All, or Fairness for All Act, which grants the same protections, but it does not override the religious liberties of the individual. You cannot force a person to do a service at the end of the day. To be honest, I haven't looked at that in any great detail. Some representative out of Utah, Chris Stewart, is the one who put it forward. But those are the two competing ones, and unfortunately, the Democrats are controlling all three branches. Well, sorry, well, the three chambers. They're going to push it through.
Let's see here.
What are you looking up?
Babylon B. We don't like Cuomo now, says every late night host in perfect robotic unison.
Yeah, he's being Me Too'd, isn't he?
He's been Me Too'd. He's got the whole
like
federal
3
investigation
times.
into his whole into the whole thing with the nursery.
Yeah, the nursing homes. Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, could you just like
the machine is destroying him. They don't want him in the machine. Yeah. So
I remember back when he was running for his re-election as governor. Excuse me.
Well, he's mayor, isn't he? Mayor of New York?
No. Cuomo's governor of New York.
Cuomo's governor. Right,
so during his gubernatorial run, which is governor run, he went against people like, we know, Larry Sharpe. So Larry Sharpe kind of gained a lot of renown and sort of recognition through that election. But one of the things Larry Sharpe pointed out, and I didn't know about, he said, Cuomo's got plenty of money to win.
Yeah.
But he's still raising money. And I was like, why is he so? And Larry Sharpe said, yeah, the guy's preparing a war chest for a presidential
run. Yeah.
That ain't happening now.
No, it's all over. Yeah, he's in a lot of trouble. And if the late night talk shows and the press are not really supporting him, you're done. You're not a Trump where you can get away with the hate of the press and still survive. You're a Democrat. You're a victim of the machine. The machine turns. Yeah. It's what they did to Bernie, right? Bernie Sanders basically got chewed up and spit out for the nomination. So if you're not part of the machine and you're outside, you're done. Pretty crazy.
And it's funny too. It's like, okay, guys. Now we got to really examine women's testimony. Instead of trust all women,
it's like due process now. Like all of a sudden, is that coming back in fashion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the heck?
Yeah. Was there something else you wanted to touch on, or I got a couple more things here.
I mean, you kind of had a lot of the things that I like. I remember it when you tell me, and then
Right.
when that time I'm like,
you maybe you might have some insight, or maybe somebody close to you might have insight about China's using anal swabs on your U.S. diplomats.
We'll just say China's going deep.
Yeah, well, 3 inches in Asia is pretty deep, I suppose.
So China, so I heard about this a couple weeks ago. China basically, like I understand what the science is. Like,
really?
No. No. Like, I get what they're when they first came out. They said, okay, the virus is easier detected in the butt. I'm like, okay, maybe, I guess. Like, but then they were like, because of that, we're going to do more butt swabs. And I was like, wait, what? It's like saying it's like saying like HIV is detected primarily in the blood.
Yes.
Right. And you don't need that much.
Correct.
But then if they turn around and said, but we can detect it better from a brainstem sample.
Right.
It'd be like, whoa. What? You want to do what to my brainstem? It's like, you could detect this thing in different parts of the body. I could see why. But this, sticking it in your nose and tickling your brain, so to speak.
Yeah.
We've identified that. There's ways we can do that to identify the virus. Now it's just butt. We're gonna do the butt, man. It's like, why?
I think it's bullshit. I think the entire I think the story is bullshit. I think China has gone so far off the deep end with this coronavirus.
So far up their own butt.
Yeah, it was so far up the wazoo that they are basically controlling the narrative, and they are basically saying this nonsense for the humiliation of other countries so that they can get access to their DNA. So I think it's bullshit.
China is using butt stuff to humiliate the world.
I think they're basically saying, look how stupid the Americans are. We're going to tell them we're testing people in their ass, and you're going to get some expert out there saying we should do that. And then apparently they got American diplomats to submit to this testing. And not just the Japanese as well. Apparently Tokyo has also been subjected to this. And I think it is simply an act of humiliation that they're doing. I don't think there's a single, I mean, I could be wrong. That's why, who the fuck knows what's coming out of China, right? So I don't think any Chinese person has actually had that experience. I think they concocted the story and they're using it to humiliate these outsiders and to collect their DNA, right? China wants American DNA information. In fact, when the pandemic first came out, they offered a lot of states and small towns, like, we will set up testing facilities and stuff like that. But they want the genetic material because they're going to control the pharmaceutical industry for the next 50 years. If they have a large enough sample of American DNA, they know what's going to be sick and what's going to be popular, and they can control certain drugs. And, if they get the DNA of the president, there's all sorts of, covert things that can take place. I think that is probably more realistic than they're actually testing a coronavirus, which affects the lungs. You're searching in the ass. Like, that makes no sense.
Well, it doesn't reside in
it's in the blood. I get it. It's in the blood, but you could check the blood. You could check the nasal cavity. What the hell are you doing in the ass?
That's what I mean. It's like you probably could check it in the butt. It's just you just wouldn't.
Yes,
like I said,
exactly.
You can check for HIV in your blood, but you're not going to take a biopsy of your brainstem to do it.
Correct.
Or freaking, we're going to do a
spinal tap or something.
Yeah. It's like, what?
Exactly. I think it's bullshit. I think they're playing the world for fools. I think they're doing that simply to demoralize the people there. I don't think a single Chinese person has actually done that. I think it has a nefarious connotation because no other country in the world has ever tested for a coronavirus through the ass. That just does not happen. So China is doing that to shit all over you guys. How fucking crazy is that? And now we have the Brazilian strains. You know, the Brazilians love their ass. You know, it's Brazilian ass, man. You know,
the new Brazilian strain, also known as the landing strip.
There you go. Badum dum ching. Yeah, we don't know much about that either, as all viruses mutate. But you can see that the Pfizer's really cashing in because they realize now, you know, a cure, a vaccine, you know, one shot. You know, you don't get a real customer for life.
Not just double mask, triple shots, baby.
Yeah, they're now experimenting with triple shots. So they get governments to buy, you know, a whole extra batch of these viruses.
But there was a new vaccine that came out that was supposed to be just one dose.
Yeah, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine that's come out. I think it's just about getting FDA approval. I don't know. I haven't followed it. Maybe it did. Yeah, it probably did.
And it was just one shot. Like most vaccines were 2 shots, but Johnson & Johnson comes out with a 1-shot one. And here comes Pfizer. Nah, dude. 3 shots.
The money, man. The money's it you know, the bottom line. And they are so grateful for the mutations. And they've already said it. Like the CEO of Pfizer's come out and told NBC, and it's like, well, yeah, you got to get this shot every year. Because every year it's going to mutate.
Well, we've always had flu shots. I know that. But not everyone gets a flu shot anyways.
Well, the elderly tend to get it. I've never. I probably should because the flu out here is pretty savage to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely agree. They're milking it for money. I think Pfizer is, and they have a very unscrupulous past with vaccines as it is. But yeah. If you know, 1 will help you, 2 will cure you, 3 will make you immortal. So. That's kind of the thinking that's going on right there.
Vaccine.
yeah, you know, just keep it coming. And then you got to get 3 every year. That's just ka-ching every shot, you know?
Yeah. I'm so glad I'm in the trial still.
I know. At least it's not with Pfizer and you didn't have to get like an anal swab. So, you know, consider yourself lucky.
No, one swab, and it wasn't even the full swab. You know what they did? They literally just
like right at the tip.
Right in the tip. Just the tip.
Just the tip?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's all it takes.
What else we got, Brook?
What else we got? Have you seen the new Lois and Superman and Lois show on CW?
Was that the one based upon... So they're using the Superman from Supergirl?
Correct.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? The first episode
I saw a video pop up about it, and I was confused. I was like, because I've been just so not with like the CW shows since they've not only did they kind of go like, oh, we're gonna go the PC route, like they went full woke with like everything.
I'm with you.
How is it? Have you seen it?
So I'm pretty much the same. The last big event that I watched was one of the crossovers, and I think I was telling you about it. Like I watched
Infinite Crisis.
Infinite Crisis. I actually watched the crossover, and I just said that peaked. I thought that was like brilliant how they brought in all the old characters, they tied it back to the movies, they did everything. And after that, it's kind of like I can't watch this anymore because it's all fucking boring, right? It was like that was your end game kind of show, you know, your TV moment of Endgame, and then you're going to go back to single series. But much like you, I agree, Supergirl was ridiculously woke. It started out okay when it was on CBS before it was bought by CW. The first season was okay. It was actually pretty decent. It was lighthearted, didn't take things too seriously. Then it got progressive. Batwoman, I watched like the first 20 minutes of it and it's like, this is bullshit. This is just, you know, feminazi style sort of thing. So after the Infinite Crisis, I stopped watching all of them because there was really nothing to see and it was all getting weird and progressive. Anyway, needless to say, I think Supergirl has been canceled. Arrow's finished. I think they're doing the last season of Flash, and I haven't even watched that. So I heard they're gonna do Lois and Superman and Lois. So the same Superman character from Supergirl, and I was worried because I know the track record of the CW, right, which is the television branch of the WB. And then something very strange happened. One of the show writers for the show, who is one of those like woke-tivists, was fired from the show. And she was fired because she wanted to race swap Clark Kent's parents. Right? Because I mean, in theory, that's accurate. Like if you were going to gender swap a character, his parents don't have to be white. In fact, there is a Superman, where in an alternate reality, he was adopted by a Mexican family. And they land on Kemp's farm, but they're crossing the border illegally, and they pick up the kid and they take him back to Mexico. And there's a whole thing about like Superman from Mexico.
Superman?
Yeah, Mexican Superman. It's actually one of the CW movies. It's pretty cool. But they do it right. They do it as a parallel universe. They're not messing with this universe. So I hear this story. It's like, okay. So anyway, it comes out. And I'm starting to do the rounds. I'm listening to Clownfish TV. I'm listening to Doomcock. I'm listening to all the pop culture people I watch, Nerdrotic and others. And they all kind of said it was actually pretty good. So I was like, oh my God, do I get my hopes up for this? Like, all right. I'm gonna watch it. And so I don't have a TV. I don't have a TV license. So, I reached into my pirate ancestors and they gave me the ability to watch the first episode. And it was really good. I was very, very, very surprised.
I thought I saw a clip of it. It was it showing like an old school Superman?
So yes, I think the first 5 minutes of the show, they do a reminisce to Action Comics number is it 16 or the scene where Superman is there in his costume and he's like lowering a green car down to the ground. And he's wearing the original suit. And they did in this film a throwback to that episode, like first appearance of Superman with that costume. And it's a green PT Cruiser that kind of resembles the car of that day. I love that. I thought that was really, really good history, for the fans and stuff like that. So yeah, I think the first 5 minutes is on YouTube. You could watch it if you want. It was, I was so surprised.
You wait.
I know that is, it's kind of the way I feel about this, the season finale of The Mandalorian. Because I know that leads on to the sequel trilogy, which is a fucking train wreck. I don't want to get my hopes up.
Especially now that Gina Carano's removed.
Yeah, exactly. And we're seeing it fall apart before our very eyes. So I don't want to get my hopes up about this episode and think, the whole show is going to be like this. But I'll give credit where credit is due. The first episode was actually very good. It's actually in the same vein as Stargirl. Did you ever watch Stargirl?
No.
Okay, that was another CW series that actually, same thing, did not go down the woke-tivist type of avenue. I think it's only 12 or 13 episodes. It's not very many. But yeah, they did well with that. So I'm hoping that the CW has learned their woke, go woke, go broke lesson. They've seen the destruction of Batgirl. And I heard the new Batgirl, who is a black woman, the ratings are in the toilet. So this is season 2. The lead actress, who every 5 minutes was reminding everybody she was a lesbian, she's out. So hopefully they learned their lesson. But yeah, I'm not so convinced about the WB though, because I don't know if you heard this. In the same vein as Superman, they are rebooting the movie franchise, and Superman is going to be black.
Trying to think, because in a lot of the comic series, there have been like race swapped characters.
Sure.
trying to
None of them
think.
did very well, but yes, they've done it.
Some well, some not so well. I mean, it depends. Like I know, like Green Lantern had both white and black Green Lanterns.
Yeah, but different characters. So you got Hal Jordan, and then you got
Yeah.
he was the white guy, and then I can't remember who the other one was, but it was a different. It wasn't a Hal
I
Jordan.
remember the
cartoon. It
Justice
was,
League animated series. They had the black
yeah,
Green
so
Lantern, and he was
his
pretty good.
yeah. So but that's part of the comic. They created a new character to take,
Oh,
which is how
instead of changing a current one, yeah.
right, which is tokenism, right? So we're already talking about racism bad, and all this good stuff. This is the worst, most insulting form of storytelling where you are simply just race swapping a character instead of actually using black characters or Asian characters and or stories from Asia. So a very good, did you see Into the Spider-Verse?
Yeah.
Right. That's how you do it right. Spider-Man is Peter Parker. They wanted to have a black Spider-Man. They did not make Peter Parker black. They created Miles Morales. I think it's Miles Morales.
Miles Morales is actually half black, half Mexican, half Hispanic.
Right, his Hispanic, correct.
Yeah.
So they create a whole new character. And this is not in the comics. The comics actually came out after the movie. So they did the movie first, and then they did the comics. And it worked. It was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. It was right in line with the storytelling. That's how you do it correctly. But if you're just swapping the gender or the race or the sexuality just for fuck's sake, it's tokenism.
Have you heard what they're gonna do with Spider-Man?
He's going to be gay? I heard, or something like that. No, what are they doing?
So there was it's funny they're doing all these like home references. So there was Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yes.
Then there was Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yes.
Oh crap! What was the last one?
Yeah, I did see the clip where they're coming out of the audition room or something, and he's like, they told me I can't say anything because I'll spoil the title of the show. He's like, when have I ever done that for the last two movies? And there's the name of the show in the background. So I can't remember what it was. Like No Place Like Home or something like that.
No Way Home.
No Way Home, right? Something like that. Yeah, I knew it was something.
So there's a lot of speculation because there's also going to be the Doctor Strange sequel.
Yes.
Universe of Madness or something. So they're talking about multiverse stuff.
Yeah.
So there's going to be it's semi-confirmed because if you click on Spider-Man Far From Home, No Way Home, you see Tom Holland as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man.
As Spider-Man, yes.
And Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man.
So you got the three actors who played Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man, and the Spider-Man in the MCU coming together. Yeah, I did see. I know that was the rumor. I don't know if they've pulled it
They're
off.
thinking it's going to be kind of a play off the Into the Spider-Verse somewhat. Like just the idea of alternate Spider-Mans working together.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I'm all down for that.
Because the last movie was pretty much Peter Parker, Tom Holland Peter Parker has his identity revealed publicly. Remember
right
that?
At the end. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, so what does that lead to? So yeah, it'll be that'll be interesting. And then that actually makes sense. Like they're drawing on old, like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, had his moments.
Yeah.
That whole jazz scene.
I mean, yeah, there were good movies. The Amazing Spider-Man wasn't bad either. I mean, obviously these things killed the franchise and they never went forward.
Yeah.
Because who was it? Sony had Spider-Man, or was it Fox?
Sony did.
Sony had it.
Sony
right?
and Fox both fought with it.
Yeah, they couldn't really pull it off. Just like the Fantastic Four, they couldn't really do it. So yeah, I'm hopeful. But that's how you do it. There is a black Spider-Man, not Spider-Man, a black Superman. His name is Steel. Right. So after the death of Superman back in the 90s, when they killed him in the comics, there were 4 Supermans that showed up after that. There was Steel, which was a guy basically in an Iron Man suit type of thing that looked like Superman. There was some type of clone, and then there was like an energy projection one, and then there was like a half man, half cyborg one. And they were, and the clone was like a boy, so it was kind of like Superboy, and so and they had the 4 of them, and the 4 series kind of went on for a while until the resurrection of Superman. And then he ends up fighting them off. And, the cyborg one was like from Krypton and he got all crazy like Brainiac and stuff. So, and there's been a Steel movie with Shaquille O'Neal. I don't know if you remember that. Probably not because it was shit, but it was.
No.
They did do a Steel and it was Shaquille O'Neal, with the suit and all this different kinds of things. This is long before like comic book movies really got good and stuff. So this is like late 90s, probably early 2000s. If they want to do that, they can do it with that character. That character is black. It fits in with the story and all these other types of things. But, race swapping just for the sake of tokenizing is insulting to black people. It basically means we care about the character, but we don't really care about your lineage and your history and your story. You just care about the race. And that's again, the soft bigotry of low expectations. Are you pulling it up there?
Steel.
I'm sure it was the late 90s.
John Henry Irons.
John is the guy, yeah. Wow, my limited comic book knowledge has served me well today. I don't really watch these things anymore.
Oh, okay, I see. Shaquille O'Neal?
Shaquille O'Neal did it. Shaquille O'Neal was the protagonist. Yeah, we must do a review. If you get a chance, watch it. I'll watch it. We could do a review.
What?
What's that? It wasn't very good. The movie wasn't particularly well done. I can say that. It was all right for like, what is it, early 2000s or something?
97.
97, yeah. Come on, man. It's, they barely had computing power for, Snake and all of those types of games.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm worried for the DCEU. The one saving caveat I think comes out this month is the Snyder cut of Justice League. So that's something to look forward to. I think it's the 28th of this month. It's going to be streaming online, and I think it'll have like on HBO Max or whatever the case is. If that comes out, we could probably watch that and have an episode review for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into it. So we are right at our time.
Awesome. Any did we not get any topics you wanted to hit?
No, you're kind of like, this is the thing is like, I heard about a lot of stuff, but it was all such in passing that you kind of just brought them all up, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Cool.
For our viewers, tomorrow, so Wednesday night, tomorrow night, we will be a recording of Brook and myself on the Masculine Geek YouTube channel on their show will be released. So Brook and myself got to talk with Masculine Geek, Vince and James. Got to talk about like the podcast, some of our interests, how we got to know each other, stuff like that. And we did about an hour and a half. They recorded it. I think they said like Rob did some editing on it, so it'll be released tomorrow. So do check that out. Just type in Masculine Geek. You'll find their channel. It'll be premiering tomorrow at 8 o'clock Central. That's 9 o'clock Eastern, I believe.
Right. I mean, we could put a link below. We can.
Yes.
We'll put a link below for those on YouTube who want to see it.
Yeah. So, and then of course, check out, of course, all of our other links below. Trying not to sneeze. So, again, we want to, of course, remind everyone before we head out to wash your nuts, Wash your balls.
Yep. Don't be like Mr. Potato Head and just swap them out. You know, you got to clean the ones you got. Oh, speaking of which, I see my cousin is. Hey, Damaron, what's going on, man? My cousin is in the chat.
Check out tacticalsup.com and use coupon code 10K Rum to get 10% off. Also, check out our Subscribe Store at subscribestore.com/shitlord-preachers, where you can support the show for as little as $1 a month. We, of course, ask you to subscribe to the show on YouTube, all the major podcasting platforms. Leave a like, leave a comment, follow us on our social media. And, of course, we will see everyone next week.
Thanks for watching, everyone.